Hello beautiful, welcome back to Nat's Beautiful Life. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some translated works, some books that I've already read and recommend, or books that I plan to read. I'm just going to give you a little smattering of those that I'm looking forward to that are translated. I did open up on my Goodreads another shelf called Translated Works. My Goodreads information is always down below in the description box. You are welcome to follow me there. And if you want to know more about the translated works I plan to read, then you can click on that list and see them. If you hear anything sounds like chewing, clicking, moving around, it's my dog chewing on his toy. If you're new to this channel, hello, my name is Natasha. I do videos on books, bullet journaling, art journaling, media, basically anything I want to do a video about, because why not? And I would love for you to subscribe to this channel if you like me, if you like the video, if you want to see more, be sure you are subbed. And also, I do post every Friday, but there's sometimes a little video that comes up during the week. If you'd like to be notified anytime I post a video, you can click the little notification bell and your devices will let you know that I've done it. Yeah, don't forget to click like in this video, the thumbs up, whatever we call it. And I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you. I've had a lot of new subscribers, and then my OG subscribers, thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, so without any further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so the first couple of books I'm going to mention, you've already heard me rave about, so I'm just going to briefly go over them, and that is anything pretty much by Fredrik Backman. He is a Swedish writer, I believe, and my favorite books by him are The Bear Town and Us Against You. It is a series, and the third one is out in Sweden. We're just waiting for our translated work to come out in the US. I believe that's going to be called The Winners. But Bear Town follows a town called Bear Town, and their whole life, everything that they live for is hockey there. The town just bands together over this hockey team, and during this time they're looking to build a new hockey stadium that will bring new life, economic growth, all of that stuff to the town. However, the one of the hockey players actually rapes the hockey coach's daughter, and that, again, I've said that before, that sounds like such a basic type of storyline plot, but there's so much to this book, and I adore Fredrik Backman's writing because he just gets it. Everything he writes is so balanced and just so beautiful, and if you don't at least have to fight yourself, keep yourself from tearing up sometimes, then where's your soul? But I love these books, Bear Town and Us Against You, just as poignant and just as engrossing and just as like heartfelt and heart-wrenching. I really, really love them, and I highly recommend them. I also read My Grandmother Told Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Fredrik Backman. I have another one on my shelf, his Anxious People or something up there too, that I haven't gotten to yet, but My Grandmother Told Me to Tell You She's Sorry, that is like that's the American, like the English version of the title. It's actually titled something that translates a little better in its original language, a little bit smaller, but that book, again, I don't cry at things, but I bawled my eyes out because it was so beautiful and I loved it. Alright, let's move on. So I've also done A Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. This is a Japanese translation, and I think I've spoken about this before. I get very irritated with some of the representation of autism and Asperger's and things like that in books because they're either cliche or over the top or just not real. And I feel like this one was real. I felt like it was so good. You find yourself rooting for our main character. She is a convenience store woman. She works in a convenience store and she loves it. But her family and her friends, of course, this is a different culture where maybe some of those things are not as accepted, and they want you to be a certain way and a certain lifestyle or life is successful. But you see her coming to terms with trying to be what they want, like in her mind, and then coming to terms with, you know what, I'm a convenience store woman. I love this job. I love what I do. And it's just it's a good time. It's a short book, but I really enjoyed it, and you find yourself, like I said, rooting for that main character the whole time. So I highly recommend that one. The Library of Unrequited Love by Sophie DeVry. This is a French translation. It is very short, again. It can be difficult to read. It's basically a conversation between a librarian and someone she found that had like slept in the library. And so he's there very early in the morning when she gets there, and she's setting up, and she's also a little different, I would say. She has her own thoughts and feelings. She's a little old-fashioned in her thinking, but this one can be a little difficult to follow because they are talking not only about you know, someone she kind of sees at the library on a daily basis and like kind of falls in love with him kind of just by seeing him there, and then she makes up these stories about all the patrons in her, you know, like her head, and it's not quite as whimsical as it's sounding, because it sounded so whimsical when I was reading the synopsis, but it's a little bit more serious. And then there's also talk of like the French Revolution and French nobility like falling and all of these things. So there's a lot of like bounce around topics, but it was still an enjoyable read. It was, you know, it's not going to be for everyone because of just the subject matter and just how like the character kind of bounces around while she's talking to this dude. She's basically telling him what she knows he thinks. But yeah, if it sounds like something you might want to pick up. Again, very, very short, so easy to get through. Another one I read a while ago. This is also from Sweden, or yeah, I think Sweden or Norway. Anyway, I think Sweden. Still Waters by Vivica Sten. This is the first book in these Sandom Murders, and I recommend the audiobook for this. I actually did like back and forth where I had the physical book, you know, the ebook or physical book, and the audiobook going at the same time. I really liked it because sometimes with these translated works, especially, not knowing how to pronounce certain things that have no translation for us, it's nice to have the audiobook so you hear it. And the names and things like that are very interesting to hear in the audio narration. And I love the narrator here. This is a murder mystery. And again, I'm not always into murder mysteries or thrillers. I've talked about that a lot. Not because I don't want to love them. I do. It's just I find them a little, you know, predictable, little too, the characters are like, no, it makes sense because they have to make them dumb even though they're supposed to be like these high-powered lawyers or whatever, in order for the plot to work. And this didn't do that. I really enjoyed this. Also, I believe are we following a detective? I think we are. Maybe we're following a detective. That's the best part. It's been a while. It's been like 2 years since I've read this, but I do remember a lot about the book. I even remember who did it, which was interesting. This was a good book. I really enjoyed this. So if you like mysteries and that take place in interesting places, because not just the fact that it's another country, but it's like an archipelago where they live, and so a lot of interesting stuff. So small town kind of mystery. So those are the ones I have here that I don't have with me. I recently finished this one, Little Dancer, age 14, by Camille Laurens. This is a French translation. Now, it's called The True Story Behind Degas' Masterpiece. It's really not. This is how it was sold to us. I thought it was fiction. It's actually nonfiction. And I thought I was going to learn a lot more about this little girl. What you actually learn about the little girl and everything, like her life and maybe her relationship with Degas as far as being his model, you probably could just put in a Wikipedia article. What is wrong with me and the words today? But I did learn a lot of stuff in here because she mentioned like where these dancers come from. So the Paris Opera, yeah, they were called Little Rats, and kind of where their experiences and stuff like that. But this is a love letter from the author to Marie Van Gotham, who is that's the name of the model. And we don't know a super lot about her life. She did have an older sister and a younger sister and a mother that we actually know a little bit more about, but we don't really know what happened to her. So it's a lot of supposition and things like that. But like I said, I did learn a lot of things, or little snippets about things that I would like to investigate more. Such as the dancers of the Paris Opera, delving more into Degas and things like that. But yeah, I'm glad I read the book because, like I said, I learned some things, but it's not what it's, you know, don't go into this thinking you're going to learn a lot about this. Just know that this is basically an essay from the author about this person. Okay. The other one, phenomenal book, Where the Desert Meets the Sea by Werner Sohn, translated from German. This is an incredibly interesting book. It has some real events in it that's why I say I love reading historical fiction that has real events in it, or at least even just mentioned in it, because it inspires me to look them up and learn more about them. And so we have our main character is released from a concentration camp in Germany, and she's going to Jerusalem because she has an uncle who's a doctor there who had fled way before. When he knew things were coming down, he went ahead and left the country. Her brother was sent to England as some of the families in Europe were taking in Jewish orphans before the concentration camps were like just open and everybody knew about them and things like that. So this is incredible. You will learn things about history that maybe, especially on the US side, we didn't know about, because unfortunately in the US we did have internment camps that we put Japanese people in, which is our shame and all of that. But after the war, Jews were being put into internment camps in European countries, not like refugee type camps is what they were kind of supposed to be, but they were internment camps. And so people, when they were boating over or boating somewhere, they would jump off the boats and swim and try to get to Israel. And this is the story of one gal who did that. And also just so many things. And it makes sense that since, they were so anti-Semitic, many of the German, officers and things like that, the Nazis, would come over and fight with other countries who were also anti-Semitic. And so it talks about her and her brother and all of that, seeing these people that they saw in concentration camps now fighting against them with other sects. And there's a lot more to it. There's also a Muslim nurse that we follow, and they actually become friends. So Judith, who is our Jewish survivor, meets Hannah, and they become friends as well. And it's a really powerful book. It's very short, again, but I was so glad that I read this because I learned things that I didn't know. And I think that's why it's important for us to read books that are written in other countries, because they have different experiences of maybe the same thing. And so it's really cool. I'm going to show you just a couple of books, maybe three to five, that I am looking forward to reading. One of them I have right here, and it's called The Reader's Room by, well, we would say Antoine, but I think it's Anthony Lorraine. Apparently this person has a lot of translated works that they're known for in the US. And I'm really looking forward to this one. So I'm going to read the synopsis here. When the manuscript of a debut crime novel arrives at the Parisian publishing house, everyone in the reader's room is convinced it's something special. And the committee for France's highest literary honor, the Prix Goncourt, I'm sorry, I don't speak French, agrees. But when the prize shortlist is announced, there's a problem for editor Violaine Lepage. She has no idea of the author's identity. As the police begin to investigate a series of murders strangely reminiscent of those in the book, Violaine is not the only one looking for answers, and she's beginning to wonder what role she might play in the story. This sounds so great. I actually got this off Amazon. It was a used book, very good, that I got from Amazon, and it honestly looks like a brand new book, but it's sliced here, so I have a feeling this would, like, went to a like a bookstore, and when they opened it, they just cut it, so then it got sold for cheap. So, really looking forward to that one. I'm probably gonna read that this month. One I'm totally so excited for is Violetta by Isabel Allende. This is obviously from Spanish, and I can't wait. So the synopsis says, Violetta comes into the world on a stormy day in 1920, the first girl in a family with 5 boisterous sons. From the start of her life, her life is marked by extraordinary events. For the ripples of the Great War are still being felt, even as the Spanish flu arrives on the shores of her South American homeland almost at the moment of her birth. And then there's a whole lot of other things that come up, and I'm excited to read this. So be sure you're subscribed, because I have a feeling if I don't get to in March, I'll get to it in April. I'm hoping to get to it in March, so you can find out what my thoughts are on this. So looking forward to it. All right, and then I'll just mention a couple more, so this video won't be 500 years long. So one is Fracture by Andreas Neumann. I believe this is translated from Spanish, and what I get is we have telling their stories, some of them on like the most horrific day of our lives, and just other things. It sounds phenomenal. I don't know if I should read the synopsis to everything because it would take forever, but this looks so good, and it's a little bit longer than some of the other ones that I've picked up, so it looks like it's probably going to be like the size of this. I'm super excited for that one. That one looks good, and yeah, that one's out in English already. There's a couple that I want to read that they're not out yet in English, so anyway, then The Daughters by Lucy Frick. This is German, and let me see where this is so I can find it for you and give you a little bit of a synopsis. So this says, Daughters tells the story of 2 women, either side of 40, on a road trip across Europe, each of them dealing with difficult fathers along the way. Our bestseller and bookseller's favorite in Germany, Daughters evokes laughter and tears by way of life and death, friendship and family. This again looks like a very short book, and except for, because I didn't realize that one was translated in German, I haven't read a lot of German translated works. I said that because I've read a lot of Japanese translated works. And so yeah, there's more that I haven't mentioned here, but I've read a lot of Japanese works. I also have, I forgot to mention, I actually have this one, but The Shadow of the Wind, Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I have it over on the shelf. That's why I'm looking there. You can't see the shelf, but it's right there. That is a translated work that I really want to get to this year. It's on my yearly TBR, which means like I'm gonna read it. I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet, because it's one that I really am excited to read. Anyway, one more on this list. What do I have? The Rabbit Factor by Auntie. You got the cover right there. I hate butchering people's name. My name is Natasha and Medina, and people butcher my name all the time. It doesn't bother me, but it is kind of annoying if they know me for a while and they still call me the wrong name. But this is Finnish, I believe. I couldn't see on Goodreads exactly what it was, but this is kind of what I gathered. And this looks like a kind of like sci-fi or dystopian type thing. So let me just read you the synopsis of this real quick. Okay, so The Rabbit Factor. An insurance mathematician's carefully ordered life is turned on its head when he unexpectedly loses his job and inherits an adventure park. With a whole host of problems, a quirky, tense, and warmly funny thriller from, oh yes, the award-winning Finnish author, Auntie, that name. If I had just read that part, then I would know. I just like skipped and went to, because it's like, you know how it is, sometimes they'll do like the dark part and then the light part of the actual synopsis, and I always just skip that other part. So if I had just read that, I would have known it definitely was Finnish. All right, so I'm gonna finish. I'm so punny. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure you are subscribed, you click the like button, the bell if you're into that sort of thing, and I'll see you very soon right here on Nat's Beautiful Life. Have a great day, gorgeous.